we go. Good afternoon. How is everybody today? We should be live. Okay. Oh, okay, there we go. Hi, everybody. This is my first time flying solo without Stacy at the control. So, so I'm gonna have to do a couple of quick things here first. Otherwise, I'm going to get a lot of feedback, and there we go. Got it done. We're all set. How's everybody today? Are you ready for something new to come up? So, what we're going to do is we're going to start a weekly quilting with Kathy. And what we are going to do with it is we're going to pick a random template and we're going to show you how it's used. And maybe we'll show you how it's used in a way that you are totally unexpected. But either way, we're just going to pick it randomly. So, yesterday, when we were out for lunch, the set of girls that I quilt with, they all said, "Oh, do this one, do that one." I said, "No, we're doing this random." So what you'll see here is you see my little basket, and I've got all the templates that I own are typed up in that little basket. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick from that basket the week before next week. For example, today I will pick what we're going to do when we go live on Tuesday. And what we're going to do is we're going to go live every Tuesday. It's going to be at 6 p.m. Central Time. So let me break that down into all the times. Okay. 7 p.m. Eastern Time on the East Coast, 6 p.m. here in the Midwest. We like to call ourselves the breadbasket. And then it's going to be 7 p.m. No, sorry, 5 p.m. Mountain Time and 4 p.m. Pacific Time. What I tried to do is wanted to get a time that works really well for everybody. And I certainly hope it will work for you. Nicole, we are going to start this on Tuesday, April 16th. And again, that's going to be 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. Central Time, 5 p.m. Mountain Time, and 4 p.m. Pacific Time. It's going to be totally unscripted. So what you get is it's just going to be fun. We're just going to have a good time. And I want to show you a little bit on how these templates work because I know for myself when I pull out a template I haven't used before, sometimes it can be intimidating. Glad it's later in the day. Thank you, MW. Yeah, I wanted to try and make it so us working women can make it there also. I put myself in the category of working women, but I'm really retired. But it not that long ago, so I remember what it's like. And we will, be I believe we're going to be recording them too. Okay. So I want to make just a quick, I just quickly want to do something here to see how it's going to work. And now what you've got is me. Okay. Is it me coming up on there? Not quite yet. Okay, so you guys are a little bit behind what I'm seeing here. So I want you to be able to see me because I might come up with little pages or stuff like that, or show you the book because that's what I live by is my book. So what I did for today is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show you a little bit of exactly how we're going to be doing it. And then we can take questions and, whatever you guys want to hear about is what I want to bring you. I'm going to switch back now. Okay, there we go. So, questions. Anybody has anything yet? Fire truck, Susie, that's no good. Sunshine on the Oregon coast. Yay! We actually have sunshine today too. So today here is going to be our little project today. And it'll give you an idea as to what we're going to be doing. Again, unscripted, no formal instructions, no formal patterns or anything like that, but hopefully it'll give you the inspiration to try some of these templates if you have them sitting around. And that's my problem. I do have some templates that I've not used, and I want to get proficient with them or comfortable with them so that I'm not afraid to pull them out and work on projects with them. Now, the reason that I'm going to be picking out of the basket, for example, today, I'm going to pick out of here for Tuesdays. And then on Tuesday, we will pick for the following Tuesday. And the reason that I want to do it that way is if you have the template, then you will have time to pull it out and maybe stitch along with me. Okay, that's always good when people can stitch along with me. It's the way I like to stitch. And if you have questions, it'll give you some time to formulate those questions. And then hopefully I can give you some of those answers. So this is going to be a weekly event. I'm expecting it to last a half hour to 45 minutes, depending on how many questions, how difficult the template, and what you want to see. I really want you guys to know that this is a project that I have been contemplating doing for some time now, and it is near and dear to my heart. I love doing the lives. I really do. I love the interaction, and I love to hear what you guys are doing with them. So, let's go ahead and get started. I just pulled out today, I just pulled out my Spinifex 4 that came with our starter sampler set. So, I am going to show you two ways of doing this template. One is, whoops, okay, I'm going to step on that tack. One is using the bottom of the template here as my pivot point. And if you think of a pivot point, well, if you're a basketball player, you know what that is. But we're going to pivot on that point to do our design. What I like to do whenever I'm stitching a design out is I like to take that first stitch in place. And people always ask, why do you do that? Well, the reason that I do that is because I am well known in my quilting circle, my little quilting circle here in my hometown, for making what's called a toe catcher. And I'm sure most of you have heard what a toe catcher is, but in case you haven't, it's one really long stitch when we start off. And it's long enough that you can get your toe into it while you're sleeping. So I don't want to do that if at all possible, especially when I'm making quilts for my grandchildren and great grandchildren. So, we want to take that one stitch in place. And then what I do is I hit my gas pedal like a gas pedal that I'm driving. I start out nice and slow and work up to my speed. And I'll make the complete rotation. And what I will do is I will make sure that when I get back to my center, my needle goes in the down position. Now, because this is a spinifex, I'm going to go ahead and go on the opposite reference line. I have 16 reference lines on here, and I went from reference line number 1, and I forget what that reference line is, but it's half of 16, so it must be 8 or 9. I think it's 9 down there. Okay, I'm gonna hold on again, lining up the front and the back of my template. I want to make sure that these vertical lines, which are actually horizontal right now, just simply because I'm holding it that way, and the horizontal lines that are now vertical are lined up on my 16 point reference lines. And again, I'm going to take that one stitch at place and then I'm going to start going. Now on this one, I am going to put my needle down and I'm going to stop for a minute. Reason I'm going to do that is because I'm going to pull up my threads and I'm going to clip them off. I'm not going to bury them. I'm just going to clip them off, being very careful not to move my template. The reason that I can do that is because we're going to keep coming back to that center over and over and over again, and it's definitely going to lock those stitches in and it's not going to fray. Now, another thing that I want to remind everybody of when we're doing this is don't forget to polish your glider before we start. It makes the rotations and the stitching so much easier. Okay, so now what I've got, I'm going to take this out and show you that I've got the 2 rotations opposite each other. So now I'm going to come and do it at the 90-degree angle, which is going to be, whoops, I think I need to get more tape on this, new tape. So this is going to be 90 degrees. The other thing that I like to talk about is when we're making curves, such as we're going to be making right here, we want to keep our stitch length quite short. And the reason that we do that is our sewing machines only stitch a straight line. They cannot stitch a curved line. It's impossible. But if we make those stitches just a little bit shorter, it's going to give us the appearance of a very smooth transition. So let me show you what I'm talking about here. It will make this area look nice and smooth. Now, what I'd like to hear from you is, do you have any particular templates that you really want to see done? Nancy is here with me today, and she's keeping track of the comments and any questions that come up. And here we go. I'm going to now go totally across, which is going to be 180 degrees, making that stitch length a little shorter. So I'm not going to do the whole 16 rotations. I'm going to go ahead and do 4, because what I want to show you, and this is another thing that I'll want to follow through with as we're doing these designs, I want to show you how we can add a little bling to them. Okay? And what I mean by that is embellishment. We all really, really love embellishment. I was born on National Squirrel Day, so if I see something shiny or different, my attention is distracted immediately. So what I've done is I've brought this template around, just twisted it. That's all there is to it. I'm not moving the bottom of it, and I'm lining up the edge of the template with that line of stitching that I just created. And here we go. Again, that one stitch in place. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch now until I hit the edge of the rotation. And you will get used to the way that, how I refer to things. I guess everybody has their own language, so to speak, when we're talking ruler quilting. And we'll cover that as we go along on our Tuesdays. Whoa, got a little fast there, didn't I? So now I'm going to make another line in there just to embellish it. Back to the center. So now we just have some extra lines stitched in there. It really does add to the design. I'm going to now do it from the opposite side. Instead of twisting to the right, I'm going to twist to the left. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to put that extra line of stitching in there and come back to the center. And I'll do it one more time. Again, twisting, but keeping this foot well within this cutout. This cutout is made to perfectly fit that foot. So here is my line of stitching. I'm going to twist that template till we get there. There we go. Usually whenever I'm doing something, class or live like this, somebody always seems to ask, "What sewing machine do you use?" Because it is different. What I use, and I'm gonna show you here. Hang on. What I use is a Singer 301. It is a vintage machine. All it does is a straight stitch forwards and backwards. That's it. But it does beautiful ruler work. This machine used to be my husband's till I stole it. Then he had to go buy another one. Okay, so we can make embellishments, and we'll definitely talk about that as we're making our designs. So we're going to go ahead, I'm going to just cut this one. Look at how pretty it is with just the 4 rotations on there. And this is just practice, so I'm not going to worry about burying threads on this one. One of the other things that I wanted to mention, if you would like, you can go ahead and cut some large squares for practice, or you can cut large squares, and as we continue the project, you can put them together in a quilt as you go format, and then you can actually have a quilt when we're done. That's always good. Nancy, how are the questions going over there? Okay.
Got one from Dee Dee. So today, are the embroidery designs for the Starry Nights anything more than what we got when we originally purchased our Starry Night rulers?
Okay, that's one I'll have to look up and get back to you with, Dee Dee. If you could go to the instructor page and you will see my email address. If you want to shoot me off an email, I would be more than happy to check in on that. I don't recall off the top of my head. Okay. So, okay. Okay, so now what I've done here is I've gone ahead and put the tack in. And I think you all know that what we like to do is come to the center and put it in from the top, which creates this little bit of a hole here and makes it real easy for us to pop in at the back. And I moved it. Don't want to do that. Here we go. There we are. So now what I want to do is I want to show you how we're going to do the Spinifex 4, and this is a 3.5 inch. And what we're going to do with it is we're going to go ahead and we are going to use the tack. I love all of these markings. There is so much you can do with the markings. And when we talk about the template on Tuesdays, before we get started, I'm going to go ahead and explain a lot of these markings to you. So just so you're aware. Okay, so I've put the template onto the pin. I'm going to line up the vertical crosshair here, and I'm going to put my foot down right in where the foot is just fits perfect. It fits absolutely perfect. Pull my threads up. Now, I prefer to keep my threads under my template. And you certainly can keep them on top of your template, under your template, wherever you're most comfortable with. I really want you guys to understand that just because I do something one way doesn't mean so it's the only way to do it. You may find a way that's more comfortable for you. And when you do, please go ahead and proceed in a way that's more comfortable for you. You're not going to insult me. I'm going to be fine with it. And you are comfortable, your outcome is going to be better. So here we go. I like to always hold these threads back because I don't want thread nests. Thread nests are not good things to have. Remember, when we're doing ruler work, we're finishing the back of our project as well as the front of our project. So we want that back to be as pretty as the front. And that's why I hold on to those threads. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make that first stitch in place. And we're going to come around all the way around, and I'm going to stop at the bottom. There we go. I have one rotation on reference line number 1. Now I want to do another rotation on reference line number 2. Remember how I said when we started this particular design, I went from the uppermost to the lowermost reference lines and then went across and across. We can't do that with this one. When we're using the pin on here, we have to go around. So this is how I do it. I just kind of very lightly hang on to my template, keep it where it needs to go, and I allow myself, okay, I got a lot of camera stuff in my way here. I allow myself to just move the template with my foot. And that first one's not going to be real good. Okay, so let's go ahead and put another one in. Again, this is what I call a rotation. It'll just be one rotation on reference line number 2. Coming back to the beginning. And again, I'm keeping my foot in the, spot that it fits in right here. We'll do another rotation. Now you can do this as 12, you could do this as 8 points. You could do this as 16 points. You could use your 6-point crosshair ruler or your 5-point crosshair ruler. It's entirely up to you. You know, if I have 6 different people and I give you each a template, it's very possible that we're going to come up with 6 totally different designs. Okay, on to the next one, and you'll see that my thread got stuck in there, but that's no big deal. I'm just going to pull it out. There we go. This is where tweezers come in really handy. Okay, and actually have one more stitch to go here. I prefer to hold my templates in this orientation simply because it's just easier for me. Just curiosity tells me, and I have no scientific basis for what I'm about to say, okay? My thought process is if you're right-handed, you're going to stitch the reference lines, the motifs from right to left. If you're left-handed, you're going to go from left to right. Like I said, I don't know if there's any real basis for that, but I think it's kind of cool. Something we should all be aware of. Okay, we're going to do one more. And again, I need to move that over just one more little bit there. Make sure that you're lined up completely. And we're going to go nice and small on those stitches because we're making a curved area here. And when I make a curved area and I shorten up those stitches, I tend to do it on the entire motif. What I mean by that is I don't want small stitches from here to here, large stitches, and then small stitches from here to here and large stitches. It's much more pleasing to the eye if it is not random, but if they look similar, if they're all of a similar size. Okay, now you remember how I came out of that foot up here? That's what it looks like. Could I fix it? Absolutely, I can fix it. I'm not going to because it's a practice. So I don't feel the need to. But this is just 2 different designs that you can do with this one template, the Spinifex for 3.5 inch. And again, that comes from your starter sampler set. And on some of these templates, when we do them, we may just go ahead and add some of those some of those templates from that starter set. Let me show you what I mean by that. Here's my 4-inch arc. 4-inch arc was my nemesis. 4-inch arc and I did not like each other when I first started doing ruler quilting. It tried every which way it could to make my designs look not the way I wanted them to. So how did I get over that? The way that I got over that is I started practicing with this. And the more I practiced, the more I liked it. And the more I liked it, the more I used it. And the more I used it, the better I got with it. Makes sense, right? One little thing I want to talk about, the 4-inch arc. This line or arc right here is the same as this arc right here. This one on the top is longer. This one is shorter. This one I call an inside arc. This is an outside arc. When you're first starting roller work, I like to start my students more with an inside design, such as this. This is all stitched on the inside, right? And if we take a look at our starter set, here's another one stitched from the inside. But then we come up with a couple other templates, and these are stitched from the outside. And you can do them. I know you can. It's not that difficult. What we need to concentrate on when we're doing this, an outside arc or an inside template, not to push your foot against the template or the template against the foot. That to me spells a recipe for disaster. Don't ask me how I know that, okay? What is really important is to learn to just hug these templates. This is guided free motion you're doing. And these templates work with it so that your results are going to be absolutely beautiful. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and take this tag out and put it back on the floor so I step. I'm just kidding. I'm not really. I'm going to put it in my pincushion. Okay, so what I want to do is just show you a little bit here. And these are just some of the things that we're going to be able to cover on our Tuesdays. Tuesdays Quilting with Kathy is what it's going to be called. And I have to thank Stacy. She came up with the name. I love it. I love the fact she's letting me do this too, because I'm really, really excited. As I stated earlier, this was a project that I've been thinking about for some time. And so I'm really happy that we're going to be able to bring it to you. All righty. Spacing gauge. Yes, we are going to use spacing gauges and all of our other tools too. So what I did was I went ahead and I put my needle down kind of in the curve area here, and I'm going to use my spacing gauge and I'm going to hold it at out as a quarter of an inch because I want to stop here. Okay? So grab my thread tails because I don't want a thread nest. Take a stitch in place and off we go. And this never looks like it's going to work, but by golly, it does. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to travel a little bit. You can travel in this orientation or you can travel in this orientation, whatever feels best to you. I prefer this orientation. And what traveling means is we're going to stitch right on top of this motif, of those stitches, until we hit right about here on the rotation that's down there. So I'm going to again start slow, work my way up a little bit. And I've had a lot of students ask me, how do I get good at traveling? Well, there's only one way, and that's practice. Okay? Don't be afraid to practice. You know, you can get cheap fabric, get whatever, if you've got fabric left over from projects you're probably never going to use again, take it, make quilt sandwiches and practice. Because practice is what's most important in making sure that you can come up with designs that are not only beautiful, but they're nice and consistent. The other thing I tell my students when they're traveling, don't stop. If you stop while you're traveling, what happens is you have a tendency to jerk your fabric a little bit. At least I do. And I know I did do this. So I start off nice and slow and then I just keep going. Don't stop. If you get off a little bit, it's not the end of the world, right? I mean, this is something that we're making. This is a labor of love. This is not a labor of perfection. Yeah, we'd all like to be perfect, but I don't know anybody who is. So you can see how we can add these other templates to really help embellish what we already have. Just going to do one more time here. There we go. And I'm going to stop again. And I'll go ahead and take it off. As I said, this is just practice. I'm not going to worry about burying threads. Um, you know what else I like to do? Use up my bobbins. This is a great place to use up your bobbins. It works really well. So now that we've come in here, we can actually come back and do additional lines of stitching in there. And let me grab one other here. So, that probably wouldn't work as good as I'm thinking it might, but you could, if you wanted to, stitch from here to here, come down, back up, and stitch from here to here. Let's try it. It's a lot of work, but it might just be worth it. So what I'm doing with my simple circle, our simple circles have vertical and horizontal crosshairs. I'm just lining up my vertical and my horizontal crosshair on my reference lines. I'm sorry. Okay, so we're going to pull this out. This time I'm going to keep my threads above my template because I'm going to cut these off rather quickly. Taking that one stitch in place, around I'm going to go. Now, we have a choice to make here. What we can do is we can just go ahead and travel down and back up. And let me show you what I mean by that, okay? I'm just going to travel over the lines that I've already stitched. Just keep stitching nice and slow. And when your foot hits the edge of the template, you're going to stop. And now I'm going to take that one stitch in place and go over to the next rotation. Now, if you say, oh, that's really nice, Kathy, I can't travel. I just can't do it. We'll take that one out. I will take this template and put it back on. And I can use my spacing gauge and line it up here and here. Make sure it's lined up all the way around. And I can use my template to guide me on that line. And look at how beautifully you can travel. And I'm going to do one more stitch, I think. I may be off a little bit. If I am, it's not a problem. I'm going to put that 2-inch circle back in there. I'm going to line it up again, and you'll see I am off just a little bit. And I know that because I cannot get my vertical and horizontal lines to line up perfectly. So I'm just going to take another stitch. There, now I'm lined up perfectly. And now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make my next circle. Okay, so these are just some of the things that I want to use to work with you, to show you on our Tuesdays Quilting with Kathy. As I said before, unscripted, just fun. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to change over my cameras here. There we go. If there's anything you really want to see, don't be afraid to ask. On the instructors page, My email is there, my phone number is there. If you have questions, you have concerns, need help with anything, please don't hesitate. I'm always here for you. So until we say goodbye for today, Nancy, do you want to come over? And we're going to let Nancy pick the first template for our first Tuesday's Quilting with Kathy. Okay, what have we got there? Oh, no, put that back. I want to, no, I'm just teasing you. Remember, I said this was going to be random? We're going to be doing the strand of pearls. So I will get something together. As I said, it won't be a project. It won't be a pattern or anything like that. It's just going to be a bunch of friends getting together, figuring out some of the cool ways that we can use our templates. And I just can't wait to start on Tuesday. That's Tuesday, April 16th. It's going to be 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. Central Time, 5 p.m. Mountain Time, and 4 p.m. Pacific Time. I just can't wait to see you guys there. We're going to have a good time. And maybe we'll learn a thing or two. Maybe I'll learn a thing or two. I learn as much from you as you guys learned from me. So it's always fun to hang out together. I enjoy it. And until we meet next Tuesday, let's quilt.